other members of 40K and things like that.
Do you guys have green screens? Is that why your backgrounds are cool?
It's just a setting. It's just a setting you can do. Honestly, you can just pick something to be your background now. You don't even need a green screen.
It just recognizes your face and then
the outline of the game body and blurs everything else out.
OBS, like how do we do that?
Choose background
just
effect.
a Skype choice.
Background effect in Skype.
And then you can
no, give us a cool one.
All right.
Google search up your one of choice, maybe one that says Art of War on it.
Ooh, that's tight. It's marching. I'm just looking for.
On the other hand, it's eliminated Nick, so maybe it's not a good idea.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, if
Oh,
that's
he's back.
Nick, start moving. Yeah.
I just said maybe. I wasn't 100% sure, but it is.
Been exactly in this spot forever.
Excellent. That is what we wanted.
And no, I'm not. Crap.
Aw.
Whoops. I shouldn't have fucked with it.
All right, so we'll go with no background effects so that everyone can see the wonderful Mr. Nick Nanavati.
And the
All right.
table we're all accustomed to.
So the problem I have is I actually can't ever mute myself because of the way this records. So I'm going to step away from the microphone to blow my nose, and then we'll get rolling. I have literally no way to mute myself, so I'll be back.
We can't wear the same shirt like a bunch of nerds.
We really should. Colin's blowing the nose. We have the time. Not if you sit in this chair and waste your opportunity, though.
I was just really comfortable.
There is a level of professionalism. I'm encouraging you to.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
Pot calling kettle.
Hey, we did it.
All right. I'll throw shade at Nick as soon as we turn the stream off.
I'm
for
wearing
that comment.
I'm wearing Frozen pants.
Exactly.
With snowmen's on it. But
Yeah, professional.
just like all Zoom
Look,
interviews.
Professionalism is from the waist up now these days.
Exactly.
There's
That's all I need.
That's so true.
Oh, yeah.
I've had plenty of customers show me that they're wearing a dress shirt and like a coat and then like boxer shorts, or gym shorts.
Yeah.
It's
Pajamas, that's where it's at.
Yeah, right. Like I actually have gained some weight, unfortunately, from the COVID and the staying at home. And I tried. My dad came over for Christmas, and I'm like, my dad will care. I'll put on nice jeans. And I went to the closet, and I'm like, oh, none of the jeans I own fit me. Well, that is something I would only know if I ever was wearing jeans. And that was the nice pant. I didn't even look at the dress slacks. All right. So let's see here. Are we going? People are watching. How's our audio sound, people of the internet?
Oh, yes.
Are we live right now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, John will be back in a second, everybody.
That's fine. This is the portion of the episode where we sit around.
There you go. I changed just for Nick.
Very proud of you.
Very disappointed.
Certainly not for the strength of the band, just for me. Yes.
Ooh, Art of War. Nice.
And Mitch is gone. This is how we're going to do the episode.
You guys know.
Excellent.
You guys appear to have my literal bookshelves behind you, except no doors. So maybe they're different.
There are no doors, so I would assume so.
Yeah, it must be different. Okay, so I think we should just get rolling. We got 9 people watching. People will join as they notice that this is happening.
Do you want to share this? Do you want us to host this right now? We should host this.
We should.
I am set up to auto share Art of War when we're not live. You guys could do the same.
We are, but we have we do that with like 6 or 7 different channels. So if someone else is live, it'll
Well,
prioritize them.
we're not quite as fancy.
How do we do this?
I have absolutely no idea.
I think Richard's not here.
Exactly. This is why we keep the textures around.
Okay.
Is California Tyler here? Because he probably knows. Because he knows everything.
Is who?
California Tyler. I don't know that you know him, Nick.
He's our Richard Sigler. He fixes the things.
He's Richard Sigler if all of Richard's knowledge was in tech instead of in history.
Yeah.
Oh, so if Richard Seeger was universally useful. Nice.
Yeah, rather than only sometimes useful.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to let Nick continue playing with that while we start the show.
All right.
All right. Welcome to Best in Faction.
A podcast about competitive Warhammer 40K.
Sure it is. I'm Colin.
I'm Mitch.
And I'm Chuck.
And we are here this week with our good friends Nick Nanavati and John Lennon from Art of War. So this is the crossover episode, I believe, in the two storylines.
Hello, hello.
Which is great. The entire purpose of today is to talk through Hammer Out Cancer. It's literally next weekend. We have excitedly have it all ready to go, all set up. We've raised $1,000 so far, roughly, which is great because we haven't done the full, we haven't asked people for money 30 times each, yet, which is what happens during the actual event. But yeah, so we're going to talk that through. We're going to talk through what we're doing, and then Nick and John are going to talk through our RTT lists and also make their bracket predictions. After they've done that, you guys on the out in the interwebs will also be able to make your bracket predictions. So, and then there'll be a contest for that. So let's talk about Hammer Out Cancer. We did the story about why we're doing this last time, and both Chuck and I got emotional. So we're not going to do that again. We're just going to say there is a family with a very important to the West Coast 40K member. Cancer's a bitch. They need support. Cancer research also needs support. So we're going to raise money for both. We're doing that through a small charity hammer. It is a charity hammer of 9 local people that are quarantined and tested and staying away from each other and wearing masks and not eating together and not sleeping in the same. It's a lot. But we're doing it. We're doing it next weekend. We're streaming for 51 hours, 2 streams running, most of that time 1 stream running, part of that time. And let's talk about the sort of great content you'll get to see. Then we'll talk about the great prizes, which is a lot. There's a lot. This is actually, there is more dollar value of prizes than the last Charity Hammer had. So we'll talk through that by a lot, I think. We'll talk through that. And then we will talk through that RTT and the Nick and John predictions. So starting up, let's talk about the content. So there's going to be an RTT. It's a double elimination this time because there's only 8 of us. So it's more fun to get to see more. You get to see more pairings that way. So it's double elimination. There's a weird double elimination thing where if you get to the 4th round and you've won all 3 times and then you lose in the 4th round, that some mysterious additional round game comes up because the person that's won the losers bracket and the person that lost and need to play each other. We're not doing that. That final game is not happening, but the rest of double elimination is happening. And it's 8 lists. They're competitive. Many of them, they're high end, this is what you'd see at a tournament list. And John and Nick doesn't know that he helped, but John knows that he helped on some of them. I asked Nick, other people asked Nick questions but didn't tell him what they were for. So both Nick and John helped on some of the lists. I know that John helped on Chuck's list in particular, and John helped on my list. So, and by helped on my list, I mean I'm playing John's list. So there's going to be an RTT. And then some of the other things. The very first game is in honor of our friend that we're doing this to support. He is a enthusiastic Knight player, and Chuck is going to play a game to start us off with Knights, playing a John Lennon. I believe this is competitive Knight list. I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So. Let's just for fun, John. Why don't you? I'm sure you could do it from memory, right? Because it's 7 models.
I actually don't know how it's going to change with the new points values, but
Okay.
I know that the previous list was 2 Knights Megara, a Knight Preceptor, 2 Knight Morax, which are the Armigers, and those I think are double lightning locks, and then 2 Knight Warglaves, and that's all in a House Crast attachment. It's mainly hinging on the fact that the new Knight Megara rules from Forge World are, by the standards of Knights, actually really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say by the standards of Knights because I don't think that this list could win LVO, but I think that this is the best pure Knight list I could write right before the FAQ came out.
And naturally, since it's all giant robots and it's 7 models, Nick is very excited about it, right?
Yeah.
For those that don't get the
close to
joke,
That's my favorite.
Nick hates vehicles, just so everybody knows.
Not vehicles. I hate the dumb ones.
Which is
Just guns.
which in your opinion is 98% of the ones in the
It
game.
is a lot of them. I like transport.
Okay.
Like a single model that costs more than 100 points is right out.
Yeah, it's good that.
Okay. Mitch, were you trying to say something?
Yeah, I'm actually running a very similar list for I'm doing all of the off hours or a lot of the off hours games, and I'm running 3 Majera and 4 Warglaves as all crafts.
It's actually quite likely what that list might turn into.
Yep, that's exactly what I would do with the spare points.
Yep,
Just get a Herod Megara.
It's 2,000 points on the dot. Exactly.
It's almost like they meant it to happen.
So, what will you be playing against, Chuck, for that game?
I'll be playing against Paul Winter's Slanesh army. It will be 4 Keepers of Secrets, Fiends, and Demonettes.
Oh man, there's going to be punching.
Yeah, and we're playing Sweep and Clear, so everyone is going to have an interest in the center of the table. So we're forcing a whole lot of giant monsters punching each other.
Excellent.
So
it's kind of a theme for the weekend.
Yeah, right. So what's fun about that is that Chuck and Vince are close friends forever, and Chuck had a chance to get on the phone with Vince and do like a prep call for the game. So so now
He's
Chuck
programmed me. I'm ready.
So now Chuck is like officially Vince's champion for the game. And that's a concept that we really like, and we'll come back to that when we talk about the prizes, because that caused us to have an interesting idea of something we can do with Art of War that my co-hosts don't know about yet. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. There's a bunch of different games that are worthwhile, and the RTT itself we'll talk about at length. Some of the things I'll be doing that I'm excited about is I'll be playing my double Dimacharon Tyranids list into White Scars. And that's something that I know John and I are incredibly interested in what happens.
Yes.
I will be playing, I have a game on Sunday that I don't know what I'm playing yet for, and I actually am weirdly intrigued by some of the Eldar things from the fact this week, which we're not talking about because we have I guess we could have talked about the fact. But we got to get ready for this Hammer Out Cantor thing. But basically, there's point changes told the troops in Eldar, and also the idea that raw now you can get out of a Wave Serpent, shoot with Dark Reapers, get back into a Wave Serpent. I think there has to be something there with that. I don't know that it's top tier, but there has to be, especially because you can get into a different Wave Serpent and they can move while the Dark Reapers are moving. Like the Dark Reapers could literally like move around the board the whole game safely. So there might be something there. I might try to put together an Eldar list with that to play as well. Mitch is playing a bunch of games with some Space Wolves into Orcs.
Before going forward on the transport thing, it also opens up some interesting options for Armageddon Imperial Guard, since they have an order that lets them get back into a transport after they've shot. So there's some. I have no idea if there's going to be anything good there, but it's a new tool for an army that didn't necessarily have a lot of tools, and whoever saw Armageddon getting played. That's just an interesting little thing that I'll be playing with down the road.
Yeah, and we will find out hopefully sometime in the next few months if GW intends transport getting out and into a transport in the same turn to be phase locked and not turn locked, which is what it is right now, which is why all of this works. So, but anyways, the FAQ came out. FAQ is great. We don't have much time to talk about it. I think in general we like it. So there's very little to complain about in there. Other than the comment, is the 10-point Reaver jet bikes list going to win the RTT? Is the question we have here, and I don't think that I don't know if that's real, but if it is real, it's with their new rules, so I'm not going to play it. Art of War's nodding.
I mean, I'm not putting stock in a Dark Eldar until I see what the Codex says.
Yep.
Right. So there's two outcomes. The 10-point Reaver jet bikes is a typo, or their rules are changing. Right. Those are it's one of those two outcomes, and we don't know which outcome it is.
I have a bunch of Mythic Bright Haulers on the trophy shelf for that. I don't need to add Reaver jet bikes to it as well.
Well, the other part of that I think that we like to always emphasize on this show when it talks about the new hotness, the new thing that might be overly efficient or undercosted, you need to wait for the Codex to come out, you need to wait for the FAQ to come out, and then you buy the models. Mm-hmm. You're going to pay a premium for those models because by then the hype will have built. But if it turns out that they were going to get nerfed into oblivion anyway, you didn't pay the money up front.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so before we talk about the RTT, let's go ahead and... by the way, is there an Art of War something...
There's a kitten!
Okay. Is there an Art of War something anywhere where you guys talk about your thoughts about all the changes this week that we can direct them to?
So we just literally put out a YouTube video. It came out yesterday. It's on our channel at Art of War 40K. It talks about me and Siegs just going through all the changes, the rulebook changes, the FAQ changes, and all the points changes, and what our find out kind of hot takes are for them. John and Scary also did a clinic in the War Room for War Room specific members on their hot takes on all the stuff. So tons of Art of War content covering this new FAQ stuffs.
Excellent. Do you guys have a favorite thing that they changed?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, my favorite thing is that they changed how ignoring AP and modifying AP interacts. It's not that big in the grand scheme of things, but it was just so stupid that they had to fix it. And I'm really glad that they did.
Oh, I didn't know about this. Can you summarize this for me and our viewers?
Basically, when you ignore AP, so for example, certain Sisters Battle will treat AP1 as AP0 or AP2 as AP0. All of those rules kick into effect after all modifiers have been put down. So you base it on the final result. You don't follow the order of operations for other modifying characteristics, which would have made it very stupid and pointless because you
and complicated.
Complicated, and it always felt bad to explain it in a game. It was just dumb and bad, and I'm glad it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My favorite thing is that there is real incentive for going second on the bottom of turn score on turn
It's
5.
hitting the point I was going to make.
Yeah.
Scoring at end of turn on turn 5 is the biggest and most important and best change in my opinion.
Innes had a game on TTS yesterday, for those that know Innes, where he, on turn 4, he had bottom of turn, and on turn 4 he just moved all of his stuff to hiding off of all the objectives, let his opponent score some points, and then he moved all his stuff back onto the objectives, got a 15 primary on turn 5. And I think that's a really interesting thing that now could be real. So I thought that was cool. All right. I don't know that I have a favorite thing. I was really excited about Plasma Scepters going up in points.
The 5-point change, yeah.
It's not enough, probably, but I think it's good. But I
actually wish they made them not blast. I think that would do it. And
Yeah.
not be like just points increases. Like,
I think that's right. And I also think that Blast D3 is just wrong in the game. Also. I think the idea that you roll a D3 but you get 3 if they have 6 or more models is just silly.
I think it should just be like 4 shots per guy, 2 shots per gun. Done. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like that better. So yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I think that the way to word that and fix it would be that you have blast weapons when you're shooting at models of 6 or more get 50% of their shots rounding up.
Could
right?
be.
Like so if it's a D3, that's 2. If it's a D6, that's 3.
Just do +1 and +2. Like,
That's
don't do all
also
the hard work. Like,
Yeah, there's lots of simple ways to solve this. Yeah.
Yep.
But my actual favorite change is now I've heard that this is wrong and they're going to fix it. But at the moment, you can now deploy giant models that don't fit in your deployment zone again. And
Yes,
as somebody who has a giant Forge World Tyranid Dragon arriving at his house on Wednesday, this is relevant to me. So, Chuck, do you have a favorite change?
No, it's the end of mission scoring. I'm just super happy to see more interest in the second turn. Like, that's going to flatten that out, and I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah.
It seems like most people are excited about the highest roll goes first, and there's no discussion. Change. I really like the strategy of getting to pick, but I would say almost unanimously everyone seems to disagree with me, so I accept that.
I don't think it makes any practical difference. It only makes a difference if both players disagreed. Like if one player wanted first and the other player wanted second. Now it changes things. Otherwise,
The only thing it changes is for players who are building to go second, because most armies were trying to build to go first. So there was a higher chance of your opponent. If you win the roll, you're going to choose to be second.
You're saying what
and
I
if
just
your
said.
opponent, I'm breaking it down a little bit.
Well, I think that goes well with the second turn being, more valuable now.
Exactly. So I think that they gave going second a buff, but at the same time they didn't want to give it too much of a buff if everyone was building to go second all of a sudden, like not.
And that's what's happened in the past. Like 5th, 6th edition, it was just you go second. That was
7th edition. Notice
at the end of it, it was the same thing. You
Second
chose second.
Well, I think that the other thing they're doing is they're making it so that if they have an imbalance between first turn and second turn, it means that you still have 50% of each at a tournament, right? Like that's the idea. It won't work out that way because it's not enough data to actually have an average, but nonetheless.
To add to what you're saying, Colin, it does actually make their data more relative as well, right? Because no longer you're thinking about player choice and is this player more skilled or better at making this choice. It's 100% 50-50, and so they can determine more capably if first or second turn is terrible.
Yeah.
Well, so and to go to that, this also might be the playtesters and game designers and everyone trying to eliminate a certain amount of metagame that they feel doesn't benefit the mid and lower tier player base. They might feel like it's a feels bad for them, and it only is a feels good for a minority of players who can leverage it. So that might figure into it.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go through the prizes for Hammer Out Cancer, because I think that those are the big changes to the facts. Some stuff got cheaper, some stuff got more expensive. Sisters got slightly more expensive. I was sad about that, but anyways. So
Didn't hurt.
yeah, okay. Chuck says not a big deal. Okay, so we have a bunch of unopened products. So here's how this works. You donate because you're a good person and you hate cancer, and also because you want to win prizes. You go to charityhammer.com. There's a PayPal link there, but if you don't want to go to charityhammer.com, it's paypal.me/charityhammer, and you donate. Every $30 that you donate gets you a raffle ticket. So if you donate $90, you get 3 raffle tickets. If you donate $80, you get 2 raffle tickets. Every $30 gets you a raffle ticket. I will draw raffle tickets, at least one during every single time slot through the course of the weekend, and then the grand prizes will be drawn at the end in the wrap-up thing, which is at like 6 o'clock on Pacific on Sunday. Here's the unopened product that is not the mega prizes. I'm going to do this relatively quickly because there's a bunch of them. Wazbomb Blastojet. These are all new in box, by the way. Wazbomb Blastojet, Gaz, Termagants, Ironfather Pharaohs, Catachin Colonel, Dark Shroud, Knight, 3 boxes of Plague Bearers, 3 boxes of Bloodletters, Virtus Praetors, Mephiston, Dored Gabo, Guardsmen, 2 boxes of Fenrisian Wolves, which I totally wondered if Mitch would just like steal. Farseer Jetbike, and then we have some art prints from GW. GW didn't donate them, but they're made by GW. There's a White Scars print and a Black Library print. I'll put pictures up of those. We have a beautifully painted demon print. I believe it's one of the Creature Caster ones. They're really attractive. We'll put that one up. And then the big prizes. So we had this idea. Chuck talked about how fun it is to feel like Vince's champion for the night game. So I went to Art of War, and Nick and John and I talked about it. And what we're going to do there is I'm going to draw 2 raffle names, and those people are going to be represented a week from now or 2 weeks from now or so in an Art of War game. And Nick is going to be one of their champions, and John's going to be the other person's champion. Prior to that, you'll get to talk to Nick or whoever your champion is, and you get to pick the army, and then you'll work on a list with them that they think will do well. And my wife will make a modest trophy that we'll send out to the one that wins, not to Nick or John, to the person who's champion. So someone's going to have a trophy that says John beat Nick or Nick beat John on their mantle, and I think that's great.
All the work, they get the trophy.
Yeah, that's right, because it's for charity.
Sounds like pretty hard work you got to do there.
I am really excited about this because I want to know what sort of questionable decisions those people will make for what factions these guys have to play. So
I'm very excited.
Yeah, is it one of those great games where we have to watch Nick play Tau? Because that's always.
Not again.
I want to see Nick beat John with 9 obliterators. We could just set that up.
I've played 9 obliterators one time for a stream request match, and I'm undefeated with them. We're gonna leave it right there.
See? Huh?
That's great. So that's one of the prizes, and then we also have I think I forgot something. Okay, so the second place prize, the second biggest thing you want to win, is we're calling the Orc Mega Bundle. Let me tell you what's in the Orc Mega Bundle. I got to go look at the list here because it's a bunch of stuff. The Orc Mega Bundle this is all unopened, okay? Or at least unassembled in box. It looks like they're all saran wrapped. It's 2 of the planes. Which plane is that?
It's all the planes.
Oh, the one kit is all the planes? Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's 4 boxes of Bikers, and it's a box of Orc Flash Kits, 2 mech guns, a Mega Knobs, and a Pain Boy. All of that together is our second place prize.
And
Just
then boys, you've got an army.
What's that?
Just add boys and you've got an army.
Yeah, right. And then our grand prize is a 2,000 point tournament ready Necron list, commission painted, Chuck touched up and based, and put on correct bases because all the warriors were on the wrong bases. And it is that we're going to put pictures of that up on our Facebook probably today, if not today, tomorrow. But the grand prize winner will get some KR multi-cases, is that what they're called? Shipped to them with a Necron army ready to go to a tournament in it. It's got a bunch of warriors, some characters, it's got a bunch of wraiths. It has a Tesseract vault, which can now be deployed. Yeah. It's got the Catacomb Command Barge, I think I saw.
Yep. It's got the punchy barge.
It's really exciting.
So
warriors should be very solid.
That's the grand prize. So it's thousands of dollars in prizes. All you have to do, we're going to give out all this stuff. All you got to do is donate. CharityHammer.com is the easiest way to find that link. I'll be putting up a list of all the prizes on there as well. Okay, let's talk RTT. So, as you guys have watched Charity Hammer in the past, you know that we like to do an RTT, and normally we call it the hardest ever RTT. This one's the hardest ever in the Pacific Northwest RTT. This is like this is the best people here. Like if there was a really hard tournament here, this is the people you'd have to face. And we're still going to do Charity Hammer, hopefully in the summer, based on the rate at which the country gets vaccinated. But we're still going to do that. And we're excited about, in particular, John playing White Scars into my Damacarons. But there's lots of other stuff we'll be excited about as well. So what we're going to do now is talk through the RTT. Now, something to keep in mind for these RTT games. When we do a stream game for Charity Hammer, we do 2 people playing, and we do a 3rd person stream hosting. That stream hoster is on the chat. They're there to make sure the technology is working well, answer your questions, make sure you know where the lists are, answer if you get confused about what's happening in the game, let the players know if they're being confusing or they're not talking enough. That person's there to make sure that the viewers have a good time, okay? In addition to that, for these RTT games, we will also have tech providing. We're doing the test hopefully later today. We're also going to have 2 live commentators for each of those RTT games. And those people are going to be some of the best players in the world, some of the most accomplished shoutcaster, is that the term that we have?
Yeah. Commentators.
Yeah, it'll be people like Nick and John. It'll be a bunch of Falcon, a bunch of Adam from
Camilleri.
Yeah, a bunch of Adam Camilleri. It's going to have some Darren from Canhammer. There's some Danny and John from Mob Rules are going to do some. So when you're watching these games, you'll be able to hear the players, but you'll also be able to hear.
We had them come on to really adjust the curve. We didn't want to have too high of a performance.
Right, exactly. I'll put them on the late night games.
Please do.
Yeah. So the idea here is that in addition to be able to hear the players, you'll also hear kind of play-by-play and strategic breakdown from some of the best in the game. We don't know which games Art of War is doing yet, but I did put them on the undefeated final because I thought that'd be fun.
Yay.
And I think, John, you're on. I also put John on that first game, the Knights Against the Chaos, because John was very involved in that night list being built, so it seems fun for him to be there. And health permitting, Vince is also going to commentate that first game.
Awesome.
So it'll be that first game will be
That's
Falcon,
right.
Falcon, John, and Vince will be the commentators for that first game. Okay, RTT. So what's going to happen here is we are seeded based on 2019 ITC score. Why 2019 ITC score? I think it says everything you need to know about what I think of 2020 ITC rankings. So let me I have the list up on the wrong computer here. Let me bring the list up. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to go through the lists. And I'm going to read them, and then Nick and John are going to talk about what they think. And then Mitch and Chuck can ask redirecting questions. I know it's hard to have a list read to you guys, so I sent it to you. If you want to bring it up, you can follow along as I read the lists.
Appreciate that.
Let's start easy. I am the number 1 seed, and I am playing a White Scars battalion that is almost identical to what John Lennon is playing. I don't think, John, you've updated your list with the new point increases. So that would be the difference. But I have Khan, because Khan. I have a lieutenant in Reaver armor with Rights of War and the Vox Espiritum, excuse me. I have Chappie on bike with his 17 different things that he gets. Recitation of Focus, Canticle of Hate, Benediction of Fury, Master of Sanctify, Shurigarian Storm, Litany of Hate, and Tempered Wisdom and Wise Order. That's all on him. He's the Warlord. 5 Incursors, 2 units of 5 Intercessors with auto bolt rifles. That's new for me. I've played only with Assault Intercessors so far. John convinced me that the 5-point upgrade to get 15 shots a turn assault, 15 shots of assault a turn is worthwhile. That makes perfect sense to me, so I'm going to give that a go. I have moved to only 1 unit of Blade Guard. I have 5 of them. And my Blade Guard Sergeant has a pistol upgrade. I had 5 points left. Don't worry about that. I have 2 company veterans whose job it is to stand on things. Hey, John, is the point value on my company veterans right? I thought they were less than 40 for some reason.
They're 40.
Are they 40? Okay. My brain was telling me 37, but I think that's a lictor. I think that's why I was confused.
It'd be hard to get 2 models be an odd number of points.
That's fair. GW,
Guard can do it.
Yeah, Guard have 10 dudes that are an odd number of points. Then I have a Primaris Apothecary who has Chief Apothecary, Selfless Healer, and the Plume of the Planesrunner. 2 units of 10 Vanguard Vets with Lightning Claw and Storm Shield, which are basically the new Gene Stealers that are actually durable. And 5 Plasma Scepters and 4 Plasma Scepters. I dropped 1 Plasma Scepter simply because I had to get 50 points to go away. So, I think I already know what you guys think of this list, but go ahead and talk about it.
I mean, needless to say, John basically wrote this list and has been kicking everyone's butt with it. It has been adapted for the new points. That happened like 3 days ago, so it's not point for point John's on, but it's close enough. The one thing I personally would change, not that I know White Scars as well as John does, is to cut like a Blade Guard veteran down to a 4-man and then cut that pistol because who cares. I just don't think you need 5. And then with those points, I would turn some of your troops up to infiltrators. Maybe the Encouragers go to infiltrators for 15, and 1 intercessor squad goes to infiltrators for 20. You'll have 5 points left, so maybe you get that pistol back and it's sad. Alternatively, you could try to get Storm Shields on those company vets. Mm-hmm. You get points back with those 40 points of flex. So I like Storm Shields on the company vets just because, like, when you do fight something like a Scorpius Disintegrator and it's trying to blast you out, having 1-up saves and cover against the AP -1 Scorpius Disintegrator is really useful to keep them alive a little bit longer. And then Infiltrators I find phenomenal right now because your Marine army doesn't really have screens. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to take screens in Marines, so just alleviate the need for them by taking Infiltrators.
With that said, I still love the army, of course. It is very close to what I've been playing. There's just so many good things White Scars have going for them. The Vanguard Veterans and the Plasma Scepters are just workhorses. Pretty much every single unit in this army can advance or fall back and still operate in the exact way you want it to without any negatives or penalties, which is just absolutely fantastic. You've got so much speed in here. You've got objective secured on almost everything. It's surprisingly durable with the amount of Storm Shields. There's 25 Storm Shields just casually in that list. Between that and the fact that you've got Feel No Pain auras, that same Apothecary can help you regrow Marines. There's just so many good things going on with White Scars. I'm sure people who have been following Colin's exploits with them, or mine, know exactly how good White Scars can be. This has everything you want in a White Scar list. I'm a big fan of it. I expect to see it do pretty well.
And for the record, John also told me to take a Blade Guard away and add other stuff. I have only played with 10 Blade Guards, so for me, this is an interim step. I'm going to play with 5 now, and I'm going to see how they do. They just seem so great. I have a hard time imagining taking more away.
It's not that they're not great. It's that Vanguard vets make them look bad.
Yeah. Well, I think that the big hidden tech here that people don't get, the people I've seen playing in this online that are struggling aren't seeing is there's a lot of games where the Vanguard vets become 4 units of 5, and that's an incredible amount of power.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it depends on what you're fighting, right?
So,
but like,
of course.
Go ahead.
As a Space Wolf player who has no units that can combat squad, I hate you.
You also don't have. You also don't.
Chaos feels the same way.
But Mitch, you also aren't allowed to have the ridiculously overpowered Apothecary, right?
Yeah.
No, I get none of those things. They specifically excluded us.
That's really sad.
By the way, I did laugh at the Apothecary change to make sure that it cannot do the ATV squads. Like
really
everybody
catch that. That's great.
Everybody was complaining about that so much, and I never saw the list actually played anywhere. But everybody was convinced it was going to be like the worst thing that had ever happened. Well, it's fixed. So, okay.
A lot of people expected it to get changed and didn't want to buy 9 ATVs. So they there's no events happening.
You mean they didn't want to buy 9 models that need a lot of effort to convert? Yeah. No.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. So the second seed is Zach. Zach had a weird road for him. These aren't in order of seed. Zach's the 7th page, guys. Zach had a weird thing. So first of all, Zach wanted to play Death Guard, but then we discovered we wouldn't have the Death Guard rules in time. So Zach wanted to play the list he's been playing in 9th edition, which is 9 Blight Haulers and stuff. And he was all excited to play that list, and he woke up on Fact Morning to discover that his 9 Blight Hauler list had gone up 360 points. Because each of those Blight Haulers went up 40 points.
Again, I'm thinking this is a situation of the rules are going to change.
Yes, I think that Blight Haulers might be buffed. I'm just saying. Because I think they were like 80 points, and now they're 120. That's like a lot of increase.
Well, that's bumping them up from like a Mortifier to a Dreadnought in points.
Yeah.
Like per relative comparison.
I think 80 was cheap for them, but a 40-point increase probably warrants just a different kind of rule set.
yeah. I think that's probably true. So we had this panic where it's like, what the heck is Zach going to play? We decided we talked a little bit about Harlequins because they're not represented, but Harlequins are not an army you can hand to even a player as good as Zach, and Zach is very good. Harlequins aren't an army you can hand to him and have him play with no reps. But an army that he can play with no reps because he's played a bunch of guard in the past is a guard army. And this is very in line with what I've been playing on stream, and this is really the brainchild from John Lennon as well. It's just our version of it. And so he starts off with a Disciplined Shooters and Wilderness Survivors battalion. Disciplined Shooters is the I can rape rapid fire 18. Wilderness Survivors is I didn't advance, so I get to be in cover for infantry. That has 3 company commanders, 2 units of 29 conscripts, 4x10 guardsmen, and then this is the special sauce. You know what's better than Scions? Just dudes with plasma who are way cheaper. So it's got 3x3 plasma command squads and 3x3 plasma special weapons teams. 1 CP outflanks all of that. You need to do a second CP if you want to put the company commanders with it. But all of that plasma outflanks for 1 CP is really, really great. And they're just, I don't remember the math, John, but they're just like way cheaper than Scions. They're just like...
you get just way, for the same number of bodies in Scions would cost you over 100 points more and would end up with, I want to say, like 15 less plasma gun shots.
Yeah.
So save 100 points, get more plasma.
These are worse plasma guns. Some of them hit on 4s, and then they don't deep straight, they outflank, which is not the same. But again, you're saving quite a lot.
Yeah, and 18 inches range.
And you can also, there is another option there where you could go with veterans instead. They're slightly more expensive, but they with a Voxcaster, they have a Blade of Wounds, so there's actually a decent chance that you're going to get to shoot those plasma twice unless your opponent really commits to killing them. So there's a little bit of play there.
What, Nick?
Let's just go through the whole thing and then get into it.
Yeah. And then the spearhead is 2 tank commanders with heavy bolters, multi-meltas, and demolisher cannons, an astropath, and then just a normal Lehman Russ who just is a demolisher cannon, and 2 full payload manticores, which is the flat 3 damage manticores, which I think are going to be great in this tournament. And then he's got an Inquisitor with all the stuff needed to make those conscripts 4 up invul and immune to morale. What do you guys think of this list?
So I love it, but I do want to kind of mention right away that he hasn't updated all of the points for the new FAQ.
Yeah, I haven't gone through that yet. It is point correct in the total. I just have to go through the app and all the points. And
all the lists are point correct. There was a typo on my list too, John. Just see.
Oh, okay, got it.
I'm not.
It was a test. You failed.
Which will make this awkward since 5 of the list seem to be guards. 6 of them? I don't know. You guys are crazy. But in my inexperienced opinion with guard, I'm not sure why there are conscripts more than just that many squads of infantry. Now, obviously, I understand the concept of conscripts, big unit, buff it, use it as a one large unit instead of lots of small ones. But I think lots of small ones make a lot more sense with the way 40K is played in terms of trading and contesting objectives and sacrificing for screening. And that's something I think guard does tremendously well. So I'd rather have just like, what is this, 100 guardsmen? I'd rather have 10 squads and 10 guardsmen instead of 6.
Are you guys using the I don't have the list in front of me. Are you guys using the commissar that can always makes his orders for conscripts?
No.
Oh no.
No, they don't have that.
They're using. They're basically making the conscripts a 4-up invul.
The way the buffing makes
one
sense.
conscript brick and then the rest.
Yeah. All right, so I actually do like the conscripts only because you cannot actually fit any more troop squads in the list. You'd have to change the detachments entirely to get those 10 units in. just because you have to do different regiments. So you could have some more 10-mans in the spearhead, they wouldn't be able to receive any orders. And I do think it is important enough to have orders that I would rather just have the conscripts. They really benefit because of the Inquisitor. Just having, the +1 save, the 5-up invuln, the auto-passing morale, it's a lot more efficient this way if you want something to hold an objective in your deployment zone. Definitely having the infantry squads to kind of go out, use orders to move on to objectives is great. What I actually think I would do is, I do love this list, I would actually try to fit a Chimera or two in because they got cheaper. Maybe drop the one random Russ that's not a commander for 2 Chimeras, if you can make that work. The real thing that I love about that is that you can actually preserve those smaller infantry squads. Exactly like Nick mentioned, they're very good for making those plays. The conscripts, you can make them defensive, but those are really only for your own side of the table. If they go too far away, they're just going to die. They're still guardsmen at the end of the day. I like preserving the smaller squads to go do the move missiles and make mission plays. But I love the damage output on this. Tank commanders are fantastic. Full payload manticores are just my baby. The plasma detachment, just all of this makes me extremely happy. I really like Guard right now. I know that Guard are not typically seen as a competitive faction. I'm hoping that this will be surprising to people when they actually see it on the table, because the amount of damage output that this list can do in one good turn is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I also second that Chimera notion that you said it, John, because it's not just that you can put some infantry squads in the Chimeras to get them around the table with OBSEC faster and better. You can also, in different matches, put all of your, 3 command squads fit in one Chimera, 2 special weapon squads fit in one Chimera. You could even outflank that whole package, command squads in Chimera, special weapon squads in Chimera. And then if your opponent isn't really just going to sit on the edge for you to outflank and rapid-fire plasma guns, you can deliver them into midfield on turn 3, basically, by making a 2-turn step instead and have some protection. So
I'd also add that it gives you the option of hiding your Guard characters if you're facing an army that has a good potential for killing them, since Guard have some of the most fragile characters in the game.
They do.
How much to bring it down changes?
Just put more tanks in there.
So we had that conversation actually about Chimeras instead of that third Russ. Zach was excited about the jank of his Russes being OBSEC.
Yeah, that's reasonable. In the Spearhead, that is super useful. Having a ton of OBSEC units is just super valuable in 9th edition, especially when you have a lot of bodies. Just having one more OBSEC unit that you can throw onto an objective, especially Russ, you can order them to move twice as well. It doesn't have to be an infantry squad. If you find yourself in a weird late game scenario, you can double move an OBSEC Lehman Russ to do it.
Yeah,
I've lost to it a few times.
Yeah, we've actually played a list just like this. Chuck and I have 3 times. I played it into double possessed bomb, and I played it into Sisters, and I played it into Silvertide, and we really like it. Both Chuck and I, we really enjoy it. It did really, really sad things to Silvertide. Silvertide really did not like playing this list. The Sisters beat it. But the Silvertide was bad. Okay, 3rd seed. The 3rd seed is Peter, and I think there's only 2 lists that have Guard in it, just to correct Nick's sass. This is an Imperium soup list. Peter kind of said, hey, should we have an Imperium soup list? And I said, yeah, that sounds great. That's what this is. This is starting with, we'll just walk through it. Raven Guard, Successors Patrol, Whirlwind of Rage, Born Heroes. Whirlwind of Rage is the 6s. Is that right? Is the 6s are extra hits?
6s in close combat to hit, turn into 2 extra hits.
Okay. 2 extra
Born
hits?
Heroes 1 extra hit. And then Born Heroes is +1 to hit.
Okay. And then he's got a captain with a Thunderhammer and a Storm Shield and a jump pack. That's weird. I don't know what that is. And then a hero of the chapter, Swift and Deadly. He's got a Reaver Lieutenant with Rights of War, Master of the Trifold Path. I don't know Raven Guard well. I apologize for my reading here. Master of Ambush and the Vox Spiritum. And then 2 units of 5 Infiltrators, 2 units of 10 Vanguard Vets. Wow, that's weird. He has Power Fist mixed in. Peter's explanation for that is he doesn't have the +1 damage on turn 3 that White Scars have, and he wants some multi-damage mixed in. I think that's sound, so that's kind of a neat thing. Peter, the reason this list exists is because Peter is a Deathcore obsessed person, and he owns tons of painted horses. The horses are now one of the most durable things in the game for their points.
They're great.
They're really inexpensive.
Having played with them.
Okay.
Why don't you walk us through the horses? Because I actually have no clue what they do.
Okay.
Go for it, Mitch.
Okay, so what we're talking about is they are a 3-wound model. They have a 5-up feel no pain that applies all the time now. It used to only apply to strength 4 or below. That's a huge change for them. They have a 4-up save normally, and they still have access to guard stratagems and all the buffs there. They receive orders. It's a 10 or 12-inch move. I think it's 10. So you can move them. They come in squads up to 10. That 10-man squad is 150 points. They have some stronger attacks on the charge from their Deathcore Lance, and then they also have the same thing that Thunderwolves have, where they have their mounts also have, I think it's 2 or 3 attacks each. So immense move blocking capability, immense horde clearing ability. And then they still have grenades. They still have access to all of that. The Death Corps commanders are 45 points, have the same kind of things, and can keep up with them and for issuing orders. So they're basically the kind of thing where if you get first turn, you can literally block off the entire deployment zone of your opponent and be like, you have to move through these really durable bodies before you can go anywhere else.
They seem very Cerberus Raider-like. Yep. And like in their own way, they have their differences.
Yeah, they're more durable. They have worse shooting. They have way better combat. And they have a lot more access to guard shenanigans, because the biggest problem with cavalry in Adeptus Mechanicus is there's very little that buffs it. The only real trick the Cerberus Raiders have is the moving when they're declared as a charge target. Everyone knows that exists. It's you can play around it. And they die easy enough that you can just get them out of the way. Whereas there's no guarantee you're going to do that with that 5-up feel no pain. The ability to confirm +1, +2 to their save. There's just a lot there.
If you compare them to, you'll see in Tyranid lists right now that everybody's playing with Ripper Swarms pretty much, and in Necron lists everybody's playing with Scarabs. Those swarms are, like the Ripper Swarm is a 6-up save at T3 with 3 wounds for 11 points. They're 12 points. 12 points, yeah. And this is 15 points. So 3 points more than that. You get T4 instead of T3. You're crazy faster. You have a 4-up armor save and a 5-up feel no pain. They're not OBSEC, right? Ripper Swarms are. And that is a big deal. But they can move crazy fast and are durable. So it gives the ability for you to just make people chew on them, basically.
These guys are really good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then we want to hit on their command squad, their mounted command squads, which are 60 points for 4. So no points change in the cost for those bodies. They're even better in combat, and I believe that they have a few extra abilities.
Huh.
So it becomes like all of a sudden. So Peter Akey, who's playing this list, we've talked a lot about these guys, and we both kind of agree. Like, I tend to start looking at 3 5-man squads and then 2 or 3 command squads. It's fewer, larger units, and so you have to have more ordered economy management. But what it gives you is kind of, you can fill different gaps in different places, and their bases aren't small. So it's less management of trying to keep everything in coherency and things like that. And then obviously you're not paying the penalty for blast weapons by taking 3 10-man squads. However, 3 10-man squads, 3 command squads, 3 of the riders, that is, hold on, 90, 135 plus 450. So you're looking at like 800 points to take 45 cavalry bodies that all have a 5-up feel no pain, and they don't need any stratagem support really, other than maybe the occasional CP here or there. They're just gonna be your blocking. They are the front line in football terms. They're your defense. They're you just put them up in a wall, and it's like, cool, get through those. Just nom on that for a while. They're a hybrid between the Ripper Swarms, or actually I'd say they're a hybrid between Scarabs and Nurglings, because Scarabs can kind of do more damage than you expect at times, but they're not super effective, and that's how I would describe the Deathcore Cav. They can do more damage, but not as much as you expect.
Fair enough. So there is a horse grudge match late at night at the event, which is as many horses as Slanesh can take against as many horses as Guard can take.
I just want to point out, I feel left out. I could be bringing Thunderwolf Cav to this, and it could be a 3-way. And we could...
Fair enough. Okay, so I didn't actually finish walking through this list. So just to go through it again, because we said a bunch of different numbers and unit sizes there. So the Raven Guard part is a captain, a lieutenant, 2 infiltrators, 2 Vanguard vets. Okay. The Death Corps patrol is a Death Rider squadron commander, 5 Scions. Without talking to Peter about it, I'm confident that unit of Scions is for scramblers. 1 Astropath with Psychic Barrier, and 2 units of 9 Death Riders. Psychic Barrier, of course, those Death Riders can then have a 3-up save. Then he's got a Talarn patrol. That's for the shoot and scoot Talarn trickery on the 2 tank commanders. Demolishers, Heavy Bolters, and 2 multi-meltas. So the idea here is the Death Corps stuff holds you up not long enough for the tank commanders to shoot you and for the Raven Guard to jump you. It's basically the idea. What do you guys think?
It's really cool, actually. I love the amount of turn 1, the amount of turn 1 pressure you can put on with this list is just literally insane. And
I also love the MSU kind of nature. There's no center to this list. There's no this is what I need to kill to win the game. There's tank commanders hitting and running behind walls. There's Death Riders, which just aren't attracted to ever deal with. The Vanguard vets, the combat squad, they're a pain to deal with. There's infiltrators using guerrilla tactics and infiltrating into hard-to-reach spots. This is just an army that's kind of everywhere and hard to deal with in any specific place. I think that's a really cool concept. Mm-hmm. My only real concern for this style of army is if I go first, everything is going to be awesome. I'm going to master ambush these Vanguard vets. I'm going to infiltrators where I want them. Death Riders scouting forward and moving, or just moving forward and moving and doing their thing. If you go second, though, in a vital intelligence type of scenario, where your opponent gets the jump on the objectives, it's hold 2, and it's hard for you to come back. That's where I think you can struggle with this army. But other than that, I like it a lot.
Cool. Anything else from you, John?
No, that's absolutely it.
I think the Power Fists are a really good tech piece because with Born Heroes and Whirlwind Rage, you don't even realize you're -1 to hit. You're still going to hit plenty, and Power Fists are better than Lightning Claws as far as hitting stuff. But Lightning Claws are still good because Transhuman's a strat.
Right? And rerolling wounds is good.
Yeah.
Never finished. Yep, that's it.
Okay. So that is the 3rd seed. The 4th seed is Chuck? I think it's Chuck. Who is somewhere in this list. Chuck is playing Sisters. Okay. John, do you want to read through the Sisters list? You'll do it better than me. You know this army way better than I do.
Yeah, absolutely. So it kicks off with an Armored Lady Battalion. It has Junith Yurita as the HQ, as well as a missionary. That's one of the various priest options they have. 3 units of 5 Battle Sisters with a nice new free simulacrum. And then, as always, the elites are packed. Or actually, no, they're not. That's going to be in the next attachment. There's a Hospitaller, 3 units of Retributors with multi-meltas, which I absolutely love. You've got 4 multi-meltas in 2 of the units, which are 6 girls with the simulacrum. Again, that free simulacrum is going to be amazing. And then 1 unit doesn't have the simulacrum, but does have 4 more multi-meltas as well. There's all max Armorium Cherubs in this list, so those Retributors each put out 8 multi-melta shots, and on 1 turn they'll put out 12. And then 2 Immolators with even more multi-meltas carrying around some girls. In the Bloody Rose Vanguard, we have a 2nd Missionary, so another source of the +1 attack aura. 2 Crusaders, that's just a small unit. I assume that they're going to outflank with their power level 1, maybe perform some actions. 3 units of 9 Repentia. Repentia are absolutely amazing. The points changes were not really significant at all. If you want a Repentia, you're still taking Repentia. We've got just 1 unit of Zephyrim. That's 5 Zephyrim with a Pennant, which is going to give it an aura of reroll charges, as well as 5 Seraphim with Hand Flamers and 2 Rhinos. I really like this. I absolutely love the Armored Lady Retributors. Junith with Retributors is absolutely amazing. You do have quite a lot of Melta firepower coming out of this list. By its nature, whenever you lose an Armored Lady unit, you're going to get a Miracle Dice. So you're going to have plenty of Miracle Dice, and with all these simulacrums, you're definitely going to be able to use them.
Mm-hmm. It's got all the nuts and bolts of a Great Sisters list, so I'm not going to be too critical here. There's just personal choices that I would make in my Sisters armies that Chuck seems to have not made here. I really like the Smash Canonesses, depending on how many you want to run. I think they're certainly worth running in the Bloody Rose detachment. I also am a big fan of Heavy Bolter Immolators. I'm not going to say Multi-Melta Immolators are wrong. Multi-Meltas are great. But I think your army is so destructive in the 24-inch range bracket with this many Multi-Meltas and Zephyrim and Repentia that it'd be nice to reach out and do something a little past that. And that's why I like the heavy bolters, just for splash capability.
Yeah.
I also like more OBSEC. I think 15 girls is a fine minimum. I personally like 25 for OBSEC sisters, just 5x5 jumping in and out of rhinos with taxis and whatnot. Basically, this list has just gone for more raw power instead of more stuff.
What do you remove for that stuff, Nick? Do you take less retro Belta sisters, or where do you get the points for that stuff when you play sisters?
I only run 2 Retributor units in mine, and that's a big chunk of points. I think I turned the Hospitalier into an Imagifier for the Bloody Rose detachment. I think getting the ability to go to +1 strength in those Repentia can be really good against vehicles. The rest is sound. I mean, like, the multi-meltas on the Immolators going to heavy bolters is pretty much just another Canoness or 5 more sisters. It's almost the same points.
Yep.
Seraphim are fine. They're scramblers. They can clear screens. I personally don't rate them that highly, but that doesn't make them bad. Like, everything in sisters is good. This is a fine list.
Yeah, I actually like the Seraphim a lot. What I think the most notable thing is that you don't have the Triumph of St. Catherine in this list. And that's not a bad decision. I think if you go with the Armored Lady Battalion, that's actually okay, because you're going to get so many more Miracle Ice just every time you lose a unit. I've gone the other direction personally, where I do the Triumph and then the Bloody Rose Battalion with Armored Lady just being a spearhead. But this is definitely a really good direction to take it. You do have so much damage output at the 24-inch range line that, honestly, as long as you're content pushing the middle, everything's going to end up in that 24-inch zone anyway. And anything that's out of 24 inches, if you're in the middle, is probably not contributing to the mission. So I'm okay with it being, less heavy bolter, more multi-melta, just because, man, all of those multi-meltas, they really start to connect, and it hurts.
I feel like
I'm a big fan of this.
Chuck, I feel like all of our games with Dimacarons and the sisters might have influenced how much multi-melta is in this list.
I could get behind that.
Yeah,
that's very true. It's also part of it. I outflank a lot of the multi-melta to create kind of a weird pressure. Like if I want to hold the center, great.
I was gonna make a.
If I don't, then it's.
If you're gonna go for outflanking multi-meltas on the Retributors, I'd keep them at 5 girls. That way their power level doesn't skyrocket, and then just run 3 multi-meltas and a similar crumb. It's 2 less shots overall, but for the CP saved, I think it's worth that.
Still, I really like it.
Yeah, it's a good army.
Okay. Chuck, did you have anything else to say about the sisters or ask them before we move on?
No, I think it's pretty good. I think most of the time when I watch you guys play with them, you use the Death Cult Assassins for your cheap outflanking thing. I really like the Crusaders for the Storm Shields.
Yeah, the Storm Shields are actually. I wish I could.
Jumping into a piece of terrain and being like, "What are you going to do?"
Yeah, it's purely the last 6 points for me, where if I wrote a list with Death Cult Assassins and I had 1994, 100%, I'd bump it up to Crusaders. It's just, where do the points fall?
Yeah.
All right. Next up is, and I will be useless on this because this is the army I know the least about, and it's AdMech. So, John or Nick, it's Noah's AdMech. It's the 3rd page, I think.
All right.
It's further than that.
I'm taking it early.
He's the 5th. Noah's the 5th seed. Go ahead.
Also, I'd like this to be known, my guard comment from earlier, this is labeled as Talard IG Patrol, which is why I thought this was a guard army. Anyways, so we have Stygies Battalion. It looks like it's 1 detachment. The Tech Priest Dominus with the Eradication Ray, Macro Stubber, and the Divinations of the Magos Warlord trait. I believe that's the Exploding Sixes one. Then we have a Tech Priest Manipulus with the Mechanicus Locum, Anzion's
Pseudo-Generator?
Transonic, I'd love to see Mark pronounce that. And then Prime Hermeticon. I have no idea what those words mean, John.
I love that anything is called a pseudo-generator. I just want to say that.
Pseudo-cogitator.
Basically, the Prime Hermeticon means that he bought an extra warlord trait, so all AdMech infantry within 6 inches of him can reroll their hit roll in close combat, which will give you a hit.
Isn't it Skitari?
It is not. It is actually everything. Warlord trait gives you everything, and then there's a separate relic that just.
Yeah, the relic. That's the Omniscient Mask. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's 3 units of 5, just Naked Vanguard. We got 1 unit of 9 Corpuscari Priests. Those are the shooty ones, I believe. Then a unit of 7 Punchy Electro Priests and a unit of 9 Punchy Electro Priests. So plenty of priests to reroll hits on. Really good. 2 units of 4 Cerberus Raiders. They're awesome. 4 Castellan robots with heavy phosphor blasters. That's an interesting choice. And then 2 Scorpius Disintegrators with the Belarus Energy Cannon, 2 Scorpius Dune Riders, which is the transport, and a Terra Extra with heavy flamers. What do you think on this, John?
So I actually kind of like that 7-man Fulgurite Electropriest unit. I'm pretty much guaranteeing that is meant to go in the Terrax because it'll leave 5 spots in it, and then you can put a Vanguard squad in as well. So if you want to get infantry and OPSEC around the board, that's the most priests you can put in the drill and also have the 5-man squad. I love Electropriest in general. I normally prefer Fabrication to the Artisan as my warlord trait because it gives you the fallback and shoot option, but he is Styges, so once a game he'll be able to choose that canonical, and then everything can fall back and shoot anyway. So definitely some different tech than what I'm used to, but once you start making one decision, like being Styges instead of Mars, then all of these other tech choices actually start making a lot of sense. So overall, I really like it. I think my only hang-up has got to be the Castellan robots.
That's what I was.
Yeah, that was what I thought.
I think it doesn't make sense. I don't know why it's here.
Yeah, I love priests and transports. I like the Scorpius Dune Riders because there's 0 CP stratagem to not roll on their disembark when you kill it. Also works if you emergency disembark, so you just get a free 6-inch disembark that doesn't kill any models. I love that. I love the Terrax. Styges is really cool here with the Scorpius Disintegrators. Those Castellan robots feel a little bit expensive for me. At 6 wounds a pop, 125 points.
They also seem anti-synergistic. Well, it's just a static unit that shoots a lot in an army that's not static and not interested.
I wonder if he's trying to push them forward with the Styges, infiltrate. And so they end up in the center of the board, and he's able to maybe control more firing lanes that way. And then, again, he's getting the -1 to hit. He can keep them in the defensive protocol, so they're going to have a good invo and bounce mortal wounds back. I'm not saying that that's necessarily like the most effective way to use them or if that's points efficient, but that's the only way I can really see them making sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can see him doing Noah. I think that's very likely. He's a very clever player. Like the 7 and 5 in the transport. That's all that kind of stuff. He's always on that. Yeah. I suspect these won't set their feet down and stay steady for a really long time.
And I think that probably what he's probably leaning on there is that they can shoot into combat. So there's no real way to touch them and make it matter. It's anything you touch them with is going to disintegrate. And and also be really great bait for his Electro Priests.
I was about to say that. If they infiltrate or scout move into the middle of the board, be like, hey, I dare you to touch me. It just sets up a 2-up invo Electro Priest charge right there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it might just be a bit of a trap, and like I'm going to control this line.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think that this Styges build is probably the best scenario you could take the Castellan robots in. I'm still not convinced that it's 100% worth it just because, frankly, they die to shooting sometimes. It's just a 6-wound model for 125 points at the end of the day. But if you're going to take them, this is actually probably the best setup you could get.
It's a very clever use of
the most defensive version of the Castellans you can get, so you're going to get the most durability out of them because they're not trying to maximize their shots like Mars, where they're going out of their defensive protocols.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't think it's... I'd have to see how the army plays on the table to really give a real judgment on it, but I think...
I wish we had a way to do that.
As crazy as well, that's true.
Okay.
On Saturday.
Yeah, right?
Wait, there's something happening on Saturday?
And by the way, just for the bracket conversation that's coming soon, Noah's first opponent is Chuck with his sisters. So that's the game we'll be talking about.
So if he wants to push those to center table, I welcome them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to the center table. Okay, so next up is the let's see. Noah was the 5th seed with 3 lists left. Yeah. Okay. Paul is next, and Paul is page 4. This is a Slaneshi demon list. The thing to know about this list is it won Iron Halo, I think. Renegade Open. It won't. Oh, you won Iron Halo? I'm sorry. One of the Midwestern tournaments that happened again. Okay, I'm not going to be sassy. One of the Midwestern tournaments was won by this list. I don't know which one it is. I apologize. Paul's probably in the chat and going to tell us here in literally a moment, and then I'll say. But this is Paul's list. He's got a Slaneshi Demon Battalion with a Keeper of Secrets with a bunch of things on it. We'll just go with that. Another Keeper of Secrets, a bunch of things on that one as well, and a third Keeper of Secrets with a bunch of things as well. 3 units by 3 by 10 Demonettes, 5 Furies at the Mark of Slanesh. Then he's got a Demon's Vanguard with the Contorted Epitome, Shalaxi Hellbane, 2 units of 5, and then 14 Fiends in 3 units. The Fiends I've played against them, the Fiends are crazy durable and neat for their points. So, this is the Slaneshi list that people have been talking about. This is the one that people have been saying this is a real
Paul
thing.
said it might have been the Renegade Open.
Okay, that could be. What do you guys think?
I like it. It's got all the nuts and bolts of a good Slaanesh team list. I mean, 4 keepers there are 3 keepers in Shalaxi, just to be clear.
Yeah.
That's the most you could take. It's very all in on I'm just going to blitz you, especially with this many fiends and the epitome. So he's going to have plenty of stuff to trap you in close combat. This army doesn't really lose once it gets into close combat.
No.
I think personally, I would actually remove a keeper and put in 30 more demonettes essentially, and then you could even go further and take that unit of 4 fiends and turn it into some more furies. And what that would do is give you a lot more board control with bodies that are infantry and obsec to help you play the mission. And the furies are better for scrambling and engaging all fronts and things of that nature. Basically, this version is all about I'm actually going to trap you in combat and kill you. My variation to it is still doing that, but less all in on that and more about I can play the mission as a fallback. So I think it's entirely how you want to put your preferences.
Yep.
I don't think this is wrong. I just think it's all in, which is not my personal style.
Yeah. I do absolutely love the Fiends of Slaanesh. They're a fantastic unit. I think even though I think all the Slaanesh players know how good they are, I think overall meta, I think they're still a little undervalued and underappreciated. I love Shalaxi. I love the keepers. I probably would echo what Nick said, where I think I would also go down to 3 keeper bodies as opposed to 3 keepers and Shalaxi, just to get a little bit more small units in there. Like, honestly, I want 3 units of Furies. I think for 45 points, Furies are amazing. So I might trim a little bit just to get a couple more small units in there to hold objectives, perform actions, whatever I need to do. But overall, I do really like Slaanesh teams. I think that they're super competitive. We've been excited about them here. We just had them on one of our streams. They're doing very well, and they're beating new Codex Space Marines on our streams. Like they're absolutely wonderful. So I'm really excited about this one, honestly.
This is a great army.
This is a very good army, and people think that just pure close combat isn't viable because it hasn't been for a while, but this is just literal, raw, undiluted combat, and it's so good at it that it actually works.
The one other thing I'll note is if you do go the route of cutting 1 keeper, you get the keeper that is going to roll randomly for his gifts. Yeah. So then 1 keeper just starts with -1 from shooting, the other one starts with the 4 bindle. That 3rd keeper is just hoping to get something good, useful, and a lot of the buffs on that trade table are useful, but if you're going to cut one, that's the natural one to cut.
Yeah.
Gets you a lot of stuff.
Cool. All right, list number 7. List number 7 is Harrison. Harrison's list, I believe, was created by the Art of War, to give you guys proper credit. I think it's by Siegler, but Harrison's not here to tell me.
This looks like Siegler.
Okay.
This is a Siegler list.
Well, then I'll let you guys walk. What do you guys decide who's going to walk through it then? If this is
All right, I'll take that one. So it's a Blood Angels patrol with a chapter master. He's got the Teeth of Terra and Rites of War for the Knights Obsec aura. He's got a Sanguinary Priest with Soul Warden, which means that he's got an aura of 5 of Fuel and Pain against mortals, as well as a Chief Apothecary with Selfless Healer, the Armor Indomitus, and let's see, we've got an Infiltrator Squad. Nice simple there. 2 Company Veterans, cheap units that protect characters, 2 Plasma Scepter Squads, can't argue with that at all. Next up, we've got a Blood Angel Vanguard, just getting all those sweet elites in it. We've got Mephiston. We've got 2 units of 3 Blade Guard Veterans, 5 Death Company with jump packs. We've got a Hammer and a Fist in there, 2 units of 4 Sanguinary Guard with axes, and then we have a 10-man Veteran Squad with Lightning Claw and Storm Shield. It's a great army. Blood Angels are super good at putting that aggressive, fast-moving pressure on you. They're so good at scoring secondaries. Plasma Scepters are amazing. I love everything here with Blood Angels. Seeger and I do disagree on a couple of things, but this is a great list. I personally, in Blood Angels, I'm down to 1 unit of Plasma Scepters, and I like having a 3rd small Sanguinary Guard unit. As well, I actually like mixing in some Power Fist into that Vanguard Veteran Squad for the exact reasons that were mentioned previously in the Raven Guard list. I think 10 Lightning Claws is just not great for Blood Angels because you already have so many attacks and you wound well. I would rather have 5 Lightning Claw, 5 Fist because sometimes, or maybe even a couple Hammers, because sometimes you need to go pace something big.
Yep.
I think I have a bit more critique on this one. I would try to, it's not bad, it's a great army, I would reorganize it to try to make it 1 battalion instead of Patrol Vanguard. I actually like troops in Space Marines. I think a lot of people don't take troops because there's so many great options in Space Marines, but your troops are also really good. So doing that will save you 3 CP because it then goes to 1 detachment.
It's a big deal.
You already have 1 troop, so you only need to get 2 more. I think you could afford to cut Blade Guard unit here if you'd like. I think you could afford to cut the Death Company if you'd like. You could cut Mephiston. I personally like Librarians, but Mephiston's a pricey one. There's flex ability in this list for more troops and then making it one detachment. That would be my suggestion. As far as the Lightning Claws versus Power Fist go, I'm not opposed to more damage, but I don't think the Power Fist is as good value in this as it was in the Raven Guard, because you're not Born Heroes Whirlwind to Rage, you're instead Blood Angels for +1 to wound, so you're really going to just hit on 4s and it's going to feel bad.
Yeah.
And then the +1 to wound makes those claws feel a lot better than a fist that's probably already wounding on 2s. So more damage is great. I just think claws have a better value in Blood Angels.
That's fair.
Okay. We got one more list to talk about. And by the way, if anybody's wondering why there's this many Marines, it's because we're literally trying to reflect the meta. So we have Raven Guard, we have White Scars, we have Raven Guard, we have White Scars, we have Blood Angels. So we've got good variety there. The final list is a Tyranid list. Have to have some sort of Xenos. I'm sorry that there's no Eldar. We looked at what was winning. Sorry, Eldar. We were going to do Harlequins, but the people that had the reps with Harlequins wanted to play other stuff more, and I wasn't going to stop them. So this is a Jormonger list that John knows all too well because we've talked about it a bunch. It is a brigade. This is Tyler Bortels. It has a Malanthrope, and that's the Warlord. And then he's got 2 Broodlords, Catalyst, Resonance, Barb, and Onslaught. 1 unit of 10 Hormigons. Then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 units of Ripper Swarms. One of them is 4. The rest have 3. 2 Lictors, a Maliceptor, 3 units of Sky Slashers, and then 3 Barbed Hierodules, which are really the list. So the Barbed Hierodules are 275 points. They're an 18 wound T8 model with a 2-up save. With Jormonger, they're always in cover, which makes them a 1-up save. They shoot a lot. I think they shoot 12 Strength 8 -2 damage shots each. Or is it 16? I think it's 12.
I believe it's 12.
Yeah, and they also get 6 attacks of D3 +3 damage beat stick. 4 attacks?
Actually 4. The Scythe is 6, the Barbed is 4.
Okay, fair enough. They also get 4 attacks that can kill things good. This army basically is going to shoot the crap out of you with the Barbed Hierodules, and then the Ripper Swarms are just going to flood the table being OBSEC. That's what this list does. So, what do you guys think? Oh, and I should specify, the Malanthrope makes those Barbed Hierodules -1 to be shot. The Maliceptor makes them -1 strength to be shot. Yep. That's what the Maliceptor's doing.
That is super cool. I do like Jormungandr here because they've got the Warlord trait on the Malanthrope that gives the aura of ignores cover, which does really help with making the Barbed Hierodules actually a credible shooting threat. AP -2 is very good. AP -2 ignores cover is a lot better.
Yeah.
Because that normally, it takes the classic 3-up, 5-up invuln profile down to their invuln anyway, regardless of cover. Just good into Marines, good into everything. Ignoring cover is great. This is really interesting. I'm very curious to see how it plays, actually. I can definitely see where this archetype could work, so I don't want to criticize it because I'm not even sure if it's wrong. It might actually just be very good. I do have fears that the firepower being all direct line of sight and not overly quick means that it could get overrun too quickly if someone has the capability to wipe out the OBSEC Ripper Swarms or otherwise stop the Ripper Swarms from contesting the objectives. But it does do a lot of cool things, and with all the Sky Slashers, all the Rippers, the Gaunt unit, quite a few good characters, there's actually a lot of stuff where this is going to be hard to deal with for many people.
I'm going to echo what John said. I think there's a big hole in the list in the fact that the Barbed Hierodules are relatively slow direct line of sight shooting, and they all want to be close to each other if they're actually going to benefit from the Malanthrope and Maliceptor combo. So having all your direct line of sight shooting in one exact spot makes it really easy to play around. If you spread it out, good, you'll get some angles, but then you're not benefiting from your defensive buffs, which you put a lot of points into. As far as all these Rippers and Sky Slashers, I've never seen this done in Tyranids before.
It's kind of cool, though.
I think it's interesting. I think it's a little bit dangerous in this army because you are literally going to throw units that don't fly and have 0 offensive credibility whatsoever into your opponent's face, waiting to be trapped while your plan is to shoot them with Barbed Hierodules. And yes, you have Desperate Breakout in this edition, but there's going to be a lot of stuff to wrap in this army. There's a lot of solo models that don't fly and are literally 0 effort in combat. I personally would try to go more towards Gaunts than Rippers because I think and some combination thereof. I don't think Rippers are bad. I just don't think 40 Rippers or whatever this is, that's great. I think not having infantry on this much of your army is going to really suck when you're trying to do actions, because there are missions where you would really like to take banners and you can't, or deploy scramblers and you're really overstressing your lictor's ability to do it. I think that's my main thoughts on it. I think it's good at what it does. I think what it does only works sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it, I think.
Yeah.
I've played 3 knights and nurglings, which when you look at it through blurry eyes, it almost looks like the same army. But what you guys are saying about having to have all of the hair duels in the same place really resonates, because with the knights I could spread them out, and I could force my opponent to try to spread out as well, and that really changes the game in a lot.
Yeah,
I wonder how much of this will be him just pushing those forward to center table to try to just like create a.
I mean, what you're talking about there, Chuck, is like threat vectors, right? Like so different armies, like when you're relying on buffs and you have to clump units together, you are inherently creating a more predictable pattern for your opponent to anticipate. So that limits the options you have available, and so it limits the number of factors your opponent has to consider.
I guess one last thought. I've not seen this on the table, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe barbed hair duels have enormous bases, and they do not fly, and they're relatively slow, like move 8, move 10, something like that.
I think they're on the same base as a Riptide.
That's not so bad. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was.
No, it's the Riptide base only circular.
Yeah,
it's the monster base that like Magnus and stuff is on. Only instead of an oval, it's a full circle. That's the base it's on.
So it's a magnet. So it's a keeper size then. Okay. So it's like the same footprint as 3.
But I haven't seen it in a long time.
I haven't seen it in a long time either, so I'm not entirely positive.
I'm more, but the whole point is like big models that are the centerpiece of your army that don't fly and have big bases gets clunky in a terrain-dense environment. So without knowing what terrain you're playing on, this is also another risk to bring in.
And their offensive output is depending on shooting.
Of course, yeah.
I feel like you would actually just throw them into the middle in some games and just try to shoot into combat when you get there.
Probably.
Because they are very tough. They're T8 18 wounds to up save. So just throwing it into the middle, there are many armies that won't punish you for that. I wouldn't try it against Repentia, but there are many matchups where that actually might just work.
No, like I said, I don't think this is a bad army. I think it's good at what it wants to do. I just don't think what it wants to do works 100% of the time.
Okay. So let's talk about the tournament itself. You asked what terrain we're playing on. You'll need to know that for bracket predictions. We're using WTC terrain. John Lennon has selected the missions we're playing on. And I don't. Did you do the order of the missions purposefully, John, when you gave them to me? Is that the order you should play them in?
That was not. That was not in order. I was like randomizing it because otherwise,
Okay, I'm going to randomize it right now while we're watching. So so I'm going to roll a d4 here. The first round is going to be mission 33, which is, and someone, Chuck, if you can jot that down for me, that'd be great.
I did.
Okay, so that one's priority target with the new Vanguard deployment. And you guys are now going to do bracket predictions. When you're doing these, please say why you think that's the way it's going to go, so people can learn something. The first game is Colin White Scars versus Tyler's Tyranids that we just went through. What do you guys think is going to happen there?
All right. So, and this is mission 33.
Yes, mission 33.
I feel like I have to go with the White Scars here, for obvious reasons. Not only do I love them, I think that they're one of the armies that is 100% capable of scooping up the Rippers very, very quickly. And I think that they're a fast enough army to get out of line of sight of the barbed hydrils. Killing the barbed hydrils is actually going to take a pretty reasonable amount of effort for the White Scars. Plasma Scepters at -1 strength are not great into it, but the way that the stratagem works, I don't think it's going to be that punishing, because you have to use the stratagem at the beginning of the shooting phase. So if Colin sets up Plasma Scepters to shoot the barbed hydrils, and then Tyler spends 2 command points, well, that may just mean that 4 different Ripper squads are getting melted instead. So I think overall that the White Scars would be able to play the mission a little bit better, because you've got 5-man OBSEC units running around that literally don't care about Ripper Swarms. Ripper Swarms will never kill Vanguard veterans at any point ever. It might take 6 Ripper Swarms to kill the last wounded Vanguard veteran in one squad. That's your best hope. So I would bet on 5-man OBSEC units that are tougher and faster than the 3-man OBSEC units, even though there's more of the 3-mans. I think that the line of sight, this is a game where that's going to become a problem for the Tyranids. Just because the White Scar list is such a small, efficient profile that's so good at hopping from piece to piece without getting shot, and it does not need to shoot back in this mission. Also, the fact that on the White Scars have an infiltrating mechanic and the Tyranids don't is really good on those missions where you have to hold an objective in the command phase and then you leave it, and then it's gone. So if Colin theoretically put something like the Incursor squad stretched out onto 2 objectives and then went first, he can just move that unit back behind a wall, and those 2 objectives are his. Now Tyler has to sacrifice 2 units to come and knock that off, and they're just going to get killed for no offensive gain.
Yeah, White Scars, to just kind of philosophize what John said, White Scars are a control army that struggle when they lose control early because the other person might have blitzed them or whatever it is and forced them to act when they don't want to. The Tyranid army has no immediate offensive pressure, so you can play the game at whatever pace you like as the White Scar player, and you have all the tools to play it in a controlled manner, which is all you have to do.
Yep. I think we're in agreement there.
Yep, and then also in that bracket, the first game is Chuck's Sisters. Also, this is all the same mission. Chuck's Sisters versus Noah's Admech.
That's a much more interesting game because of the Electro Priests.
Yeah, Sisters don't have great answers to Electro Priests. They have to fight Invulns the hard way unless you build weird smites into your Sisters, which Chuck has not opted for. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just this is a problem you're about to face.
I certainly regretted it after I saw the list.
Yeah. I think that there are so many points in Castellan robots, which are literally dead to your entire army.
Yep.
1,500 points versus 2,000 points, and as great as Electro Priests are, that's pretty hard to come back from.
Yeah. I think this is actually going to be a pretty close one, and I'm not going to put 100% stock into this like I'm putting into the White Scars, but I agree. I think that 30 multi-meltas or such is going to do enough in this matchup, especially the Castellan robots just don't feel like they have anywhere they can go. You don't have any single unit that's so important that the Castellan robots can kill it, and then that's okay to lose the Castellan robots, and the Castellan robots cannot engage without immediately dying.
It's also the mission you're playing lets you just hide behind a wall in your deployment zone somewhere with Repentia, and WTC terrain has walls everywhere. So you're going to be playing over that center objective in mission number 33, and that's pretty much going to dictate how the game flows. So you're always going to be able to charge Repentia onto that center objective. He's probably always going to be able to charge Electro Priest onto it, so that's going to be the game. But your other stuff around that center objective should be his other stuff.
Actually, I don't think there is a center objective in this one, is there? Is this one where there's
I think, John, you're actually mistaken about what mission it is, so let's correct that before we confuse anybody. This is the one that has the 5 objectives, and it's hold 1, hold 2. It is not the one that you stand on and then leave and then keep. It's not that one.
Can you hold the? Yeah. Oh, it's that one. Oh, so there's a super easy mission.
This is a super easy mission.
Oh, it's the other weird Vanguard. Yeah. There's too many weird Vanguards.
Like both players are gonna hold there too.
All Vanguards
are fight over the middle, and then your other stuff is gonna beat his other stuff. Is how this is going.
I think that the fact that there's a super easy secondary does actually benefit the Admech, because Admech traditionally are not great at scoring secondaries. So just getting an auto.
Are either. I think both players just get really good points here.
Yeah, it's good. It's going to be a high scoring one for everyone.
Yeah.
I think the biggest reason I'm going to give this to the Sisters over the Admech is that it's actually a little bit awkward for Electro Priest to charge Repentia because they have the 1 CP every dead model does a mortal wound on a 4+. So if Fulgrites charge them, you're probably going from, and there aren't any giant Fulgurite units here. It's a 7 and a 9.
Yeah.
So if 7 Fulgurites charge the Repentia, they do actually probably kill them if they only have the 6 of Invuln. But if the second that happens, 9 4-ups, you probably kill 3 Fulgurites, and is 4 even worth giving the 2-up Invuln to at that point? Maybe, maybe not. But even then, if it's 4 models of the 2-up Invuln, there's enough Sisters' weight of attacks to actually beat that down.
Like 9 Repentia still does like 20-something wounds to the Electro Priest. So into a 2-up Invuln, you'll still kill 4.
3 or 4, yeah.
And then like even a 9-man going to a 5-man, the 5-man is not soloing your army from that point.
So I think that there's enough play with, specifically that stratagem in the trading piece war, where if Chuck is trading with Repentia early, because all he has to do is expose a melty unit, pick up the cast on robot, and then he has 2 more melty units, and then Repentia missiles will just keep trading onto the center. I would think that this is going to favor Chuck in the end, but it will probably be fairly close. I think just multi-melt.
This is a tough game.
Multi-melt is pull through is my prediction.
Nick, are you saying the same? Are you also saying sisters?
I'm also saying sisters, but this is a much tighter game than Scars versus Nets in my mind.
All right, now we're in the other bracket, where the first game is Peter's Imperial Soup with the Raven Guard and the Rough Riders and the Tank Commanders into Keeper Rush.
But yes.
Into Keeper Rush.
Oh, jeez. Oh, this is like, no.
I think Keepers are going to run this.
Oh, no. This is like the only army that you couldn't go first and like have a really solid, like really threatening.
Like if Peter goes first and everything goes right, he charges the Keeper army.
And then he gets slapped to -2 attack.
And if he doesn't go first and he plays the I'm going to go second and play the MSC all over the table kind of style, the Slaanesh army I think is fast enough to just handle that.
Okay, so let's argue the other side of this, because there is always room for Slaanesh demons to lose something randomly, because that's what demons do sometimes. Yeah. You do have Vengeance for Katie on those tank commanders. So if Peter goes first and just does the Death Riders purely wrapped around the Slaanesh army, and then he just tank commanders with Vengeance for Cadia, he probably just scoops up a Keeper. I think that the Fiends are the problem here, because if they latch onto a Death Rider unit...
There's also the Epitome, too. So
there's also the Epitome.
I think you deploy defensively as a Slaanesh player, don't get shot by Demolishers and multi-melts to run, because that's not that hard to do if you have terrain. And then
you're fast
and then you just trap something and the game's over. Yeah. I mean, Vanguard vets, I don't want to be so black and white about it. Vanguard vets do counterpunch, but Slaanesh is a combat army designed to beat your counterpunch.
Yeah. What is really nice with the Slaanesh teams, and I kind of want to explain why this is so useful, is that one of the Keepers has a 4+ invulnerable save, which means it's the least appealing one to shoot at, and that same one is also an aura of -1 attack in close combat. And Slaanesh has a 1 CP stratagem that's an aura of -1 attack in close combat. And what I'm afraid of is that something like these Vanguard veterans rolling in there with 40 attacks, 1 CP later, it's 20 attacks, -1 to hit. They're going to do not that. I mean, he doesn't get a super doctrine, so he doesn't get the +1 wound against characters. Shalaxi is just -1 to wounds. These Lightning Claws with rerolls are wounding Shalaxi on 6s in combat. Everything else is like -2 attacks and -1 to hit. It's a lot to work through, and the Keepers are actually pretty decent at killing the Death Riders, and especially keeping them in combat is a problem.
So what I would say in argument to that is, I think that something to consider is Vengeance for Cadia on Death Rider units to start to clear things after the fact. Like, so that becomes a factor. I'm not saying that it overcomes Slaanesh. You're playing them at their own game. However, if you can hold them off of objectives for 2 turns with your Death Riders, that's a significant deficit to overcome.
Yeah. That would be the
way. That would be my approach. Is I'm trying to deny you points. I understand I'm paying in bodies.
Mitch, is it Vengeance is shooting only, isn't it?
Yeah, it is shooting only. So 9 lives.
Oh, I think Mitch has got the right idea.
I'm talking about the grenades. They still get grenades. All the riders still get grenades, so you can still Vengeance for Cadia with a massive amount.
Okay.
So now to be clear, that's not enough to overcome things necessarily, but it's an exchange process. If you can hold them back from scoring enough for 2 turns, that could be enough to win you the game on its own.
He can't Grenadiers because they're not infantry. He says in the chat, Mitch.
The win condition is to kill the Demonettes and play the mission. Which is why to my suggestion of Paul was put more Demonettes and Furies in the list and don't lose that way. But here we are. I think that is the approach that Peter is going to have to take with this Imperial army.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to get there if I was a betting man.
This also is a case where the new primary changes actually may matter a lot, where I agree Peter definitely could trap Paul into his deployment zone for a turn or two, and that would definitely suck for primary. But he pretty much has to go first for that to happen. And if that happens, then Paul is frankly guaranteed a 15 on primary at the end.
That's true. Like by the end of the game, Peter's going to be nearly table and just trying to ride the early game advantage he scored, and Paul's going to be like, bottom of turn 5, 15 points, please.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
What about
It's also interesting. There's a lot of small OBSEC in Peter's list. If he focuses early on everything but keepers, he really does have the ability to snatch objectives back for essentially free quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the win condition is killing those demonettes and then just playing the mission. That can legitimately work against Slanish army. It all depends where the combats happen. Because if the Vanguard get minus attacked and then trapped not on an objective, they're out of the game.
Yeah.
I think that Paul should deep strike his demonettes.
I think that's interesting. It's hard because
I think if he goes first, he's gonna.
In this specific mission, it's difficult because you want those demonettes on the table to run onto that middle objective over and over and over again in spades. Maybe you strike 1 or 2.
I mean, not all 3.
Not all 3.
But
yeah.
Just to make sure that no matter what, you don't lose your OBSEC early turns. I think I actually would just reserve one of them.
These are just different ways we can play the match. I do, if I put them
honestly, I think it's going to be very interesting and very entertaining no matter what.
Yeah, this could be a very entertaining game. I think at the end of it, the Imperium needs more breaks to go their way.
Yeah.
There is a scenario where the Imperium wins. I don't think it's as black and white as we suggested right at the beginning.
Right.
But overall, I feel like Slaanesh has a solid game plan, and Imperium here needs a couple of things to work. Like, they need to go first and kill all the OBSEC and be able to pin the Slaanesh in, where if the Slaanesh punches through it a little bit too fast, traps it in combat. I mean, remember, if you trap Slaanesh in combat, then they're going to be fighting, you're going to charge and fight first. They're going to fight 3 times before you fight back, because they're going to fight in your turn, fight in the side phase, fight first in their turn. And suddenly you track them for 1 turn, and that may not be enough.
Well, and that's the key is if it's the 4 up, 5 up or feel no pain. If you spike well enough in tying up squads to hold them in place so that just enough is there, that's going to be the difference, right? Like and so it's going to be a really interesting game that's decided by dice, like the overall not one roll, but like the overall trend.
There's going to be key moments, like did they break free of the Death Riders in this phase or the next one? There's going to be key moments like that. That's combat armies versus combat armies.
Always.
Yeah. There will also be key moments on if someone fails charges.
Okay, let's move on. It sounds like you're both saying Paul.
I'm right. So what's the last one?
Are you both?
I'm calling Peter.
Are you both saying Paul, guys? Just to clarify.
Yes.
Okay.
Both going Slaanesh.
The final game is Blood Angels against Guard.
Blood Angels.
Oh, that's actually interesting.
Guard.
These are just 2 entirely separate lists.
I think this is the most interesting matchup we have.
This is already my favorite one. There is so much plasma in this list, and there's Manticores. There's the Guard list. I know that this isn't realistic, but if the Blood Angels just deployed in line of sight, I'm pretty sure the Guard could table this in 1 turn. Maybe 2. But
this is tough.
There's so much raw damage. If Zach can manipulate the conscripts enough to keep the Blood Angels away from specifically just like the tank commanders for 1 or 2 extra turns, because really all you need to do is not let the Blood Angels wrap too many things at once. You can get 1 unit wrapped, you've got CP, desperate breakout, shoot it to death, and just keep playing your life. And that's where the conscripts again are very useful, because it's 1 unit that screens everything, and you don't care if it dies, it just can't be in combat by the end of your movement phase.
I'm going to give it to the Guard. I think the Blood Angels are going to be... The first thing the Blood Angels are going to have to decide is how to use the Plasma Scepters. And you want to use them to deal with the Lehman Russes, so you don't get blasted in the face by Lehman Russes.
That's hard.
But that's really hard because you don't have the volume in any of your other squads, save for the Vanguard vets, to go through the Guardsmen.
You have to use the Plasma Scepters.
You have to use the Plasma Scepters there, and then you just get shot in the face by full payload Manticores and Lehman Russes.
Guard.
I think this is Guard.
Guard over Space Marines, folks. What a day. I'm going Guard.
All right, we got 3 more games to do based on the bracket you guys have created. So far, you've agreed on everything. We'll see if that continues.
It can't last forever.
So now, based on what you said, what's happening in round 2, and we're playing Mission. Hold on.
Write this down, Chuck.
Yeah, right. We're playing. Let's see. What did we do first? We did 33. Now we're doing 13.
Is this the other weird Vanguard?
This is Vital Intelligence.
This is the other weird Vanguard. Yes.
Yes. How could I have confused
I hate
these?
this mission so much.
Yeah, me too.
You were the one who chose this for them.
I did. I wanted them to suffer too.
This is hold 2, hold 3 is what this one is.
I didn't choose the Scouring. Okay.
So we've got Scars and the Sisters, which is.
I'm thinking. My initial instinct is to just give it to White Scars because I've literally played this match on stream
5 times.
And White Scars have beaten me in all of them, but I'm going to try and be objective here.
There's a lot more multi-meltas in this than in the standard.
There are a lot more multi-meltas. You have a lot more ability to kill Space Marines than I have.
This
mission is horrendous for the Sisters.
That's the problem.
It's also very predicated on who goes first. This is just science. The Vital Intelligence is a terribly balanced mission, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Why did John pick it then?
Because he wanted you both to suffer also, his exact words.
Fair enough.
Because there are several poorly balanced missions, and pretending that none of them exist is just not a realistic prediction of a tournament.
Okay, fair enough.
You do have to have a plan for this mission.
Yeah, if you don't have a plan for this mission, then throw your army out the door because this is...
I'm gonna stick to my guns and give it on White Scars. Only on the back of this mission is terrible.
Yeah, this mission is bad for Sisters specifically because White Scars are so much better at putting units onto those objectives quickly, holding them, and then being able to leave.
I will also say that Chuck's Sisters will likely table Colin's White Scars and lose anyway.
I think Khan will survive.
Only your Khan.
No, I never let Khan survive. That's target number 1.
We had in our little mini pretend RTT we played Silvertide. No, it wasn't really Silvertide because it also had the Nightbringer. It had the Nightbringer in it, right? Yeah. And we played this game, and when Chuck was clear that he was losing, he decided that all of his forces needed to kill Khan, that would be his moral victory, which was really fun.
Do not accept that.
To break it down a bit more scientifically, the problem with this match, or problems with this match from the Sisters' perspective, is again, White Scars are a control army. Sisters to a degree are as well. White Scars will need something to force them to act when they don't want to, which in this case would have to be the Repentia.
Mm-hmm.
But if Colin can manage screening well and spacing well on his various Vanguard and Blade Guard squads to make it so the Repentia can't just charge and pick up like 20 Space Marines, they're trading like 9 Repentia for 5 Vanguard vets.
That's what sucks.
That's not okay from Chuck's perspective.
Good news, Colin is not known for screening ability.
So
it should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, like of the 3 of us, Colin
9 Repentia do not spread well. They don't attack 16 and 6 inches away from each other effectively.
I would actually put this down to Miracle Dice. How well Chuck rolls on his Miracle Dice is going to have a huge influence on how this game goes.
We are not going to say that games are decided by dice, you terrible co-host. No, that's the second time you've said that, and I do not accept it. I love you like a brother, Mitch, but we're not going to talk about dice winning games on this podcast. I'm sorry.
I'm saying it's that close of a matchup that the Miracle Dice will be the deciding factor, not that dice decide games.
I think it snowballs hard one way or the other, and without knowing who has first turn, it's really hard to say. This mission is so dependent on first turn, unfortunately.
I'm going to go with Colin here and the White Scars. I'm actually taking the players into account here. No offense, Chuck. Colin has definitely established the edge in tournament games over Mr. Chuck. I think he maintains it here. I actually really like this Sisters list in the context of trying to kill Space Marines. I've leaned into this Retributor direction myself specifically because I've seen some of the struggles you've had with Sisters into Marines. So I can't just do what Nick's doing and expect better results. That's hubris that I just can't accept. I think that the Retributors are massive into the Marine meta. Repentia's still great. Dephram, Seraphim, all this is great. I think the Retributors are massive here. I also like Immolators that auto-explode with multi-meltas because I just love that stratagem for 1 CP. But even so, I think that White Scars are just the best army in the game, and especially because Colin has a history of playing the armies with the right playstyle. He's played Ynnari, he's played Genestealer Cult, Kraken Tyranids, Harlequins before. He understands what to do with the White Scars. I'm going to give the edge to Colin here. even though I like the Sisters list into Space Marines.
If this wasn't such a polarizing mission, I would give a lot more to the Sisters, but
this mission also.
This mission sucks.
This mission also plays factor.
As a Sisters player, you would really like to take deploy scramblers, I can promise you, and it's really hard in this mission because your outflank ability isn't that long edge, it's that short edge, so Colin doesn't have much to screen to block you from walking on and scrambling.
This is the instance where I wish that Colin had those infiltrators, though.
Yeah, infiltrators would have made it a done deal in my mind. The fact that there aren't infiltrators is giving Chuck a chance.
Absolutely. If he had the one less blade guard, the two infiltrator units, I think the game's already over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Straight up.
I will say that Chuck is doing to one of the things that Chuck and I are excited about is that Chuck is doing the best with the Sisters that we've seen in a long time. He has been doing some beating of me, not of the White Scars. We haven't done this matchup, have we? We haven't done Scars and the Sisters at all.
This is not a bad Sisters army. It's just the tech choices here are.
I think this could be a very close game, actually. I don't think it's going to necessarily snowball.
Okay.
I think that this game could actually be very close. I'm giving Colin the edge on, frankly, history and his experience. I know Chuck is relatively new to Sisters. I know he's picking it up well and doing well, but I think Colin is where he needs to be with White Scars to take it home. But I could see this one being very, very close.
This is definitely the makings of a close game, but I also know that the whole two missions might look close and then end up with the score like 70-30.
Fair enough. All right. So in the other bracket, you guys predicted that Paul and Zach would face each other in round 2 on this mission. And that's the Keeper Rush into Mono Guard.
Oh, God. I'm going Slash.
Vengeance Acadia is a thing, and we do need to at least talk about this.
Yeah.
I like that Paul's got to get vengeance on this path. Paul's got to get vengeance 2 games in a row.
Basically mean that Paul or Zach won't be able to kill enough fiends, and there's also an epitome. So at some point, he just gets trapped in combat. That is a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
And at which point, the guard player will not have a response aside from running away, and running away is not a response in this game.
Yeah. I love this guard list. Literally, fiends are the only, not the only, but fiends are one of like 2 reasons why I don't take pure guard to tournaments. It's fiends and harlequins. But fiends are just so utterly brutal in this scenario. There's like I don't know what
between the fiends and the epitome. There's no like I don't get trapped.
I think what you do as the guard player is you try to deploy so far back that you don't get charged turn 1, and you try to manticore the fiends away before it becomes bad.
But like a manticore doesn't even pick up a fiend.
No,
it might not even pick up half.
It's 4 wound models versus flat 3 damage artillery, so that's just an unfortunate equation there.
Yeah, both manticores together probably don't kill 5 fiends, and there's
this is hard. This is hard.
But
what
about
the fiends
the conscripts line out, make the whole Great Wall of Conscript, give them a 4-pinful, and try to just tank.
But like, you're just not shooting or moving forward is the problem.
Yeah, there's no win condition there.
No, the reason why I said that, it's not just the manticores. It's also that if you do that and you survive turn 1, your plasma comes in before the fiends have connected, and then you have a legitimate shot to kill all the fiends. And if you can kill all the fiends before they can connect.
Oh, I don't know. If the fiends just get into a ruin in the middle, even if the plasma shows up on the side,
it's not great.
It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm going Slash here. As awesome as guard is,
this is just a mismatch.
This matchup is extremely skewed.
Especially, let's also remember the mission. It's hold 2. The guard player is gonna do what? Hide in the corner on a hold 2. You're right.
The mission also again it benefits Slash because it's the mission where once you hold an objective and move past it, it's yours.
Yeah.
So Paul doesn't need to hold these objectives forever. He doesn't need to leave anything in his backfield. He just needs to stand on a turn 1 and the entire army gets to go, and he doesn't have to leave anything back. You can't manticore things off of objectives to skew the primary your favor. The combination of factors here I don't think is at all in that favor.
I think that brings us to the finals.
Oh my God, the cat is in front of the camera.
What's interesting, I would also say, is that I like about that game is that Zach has played Chaos a ton, and he's played with the mirror a lot, and like a bunch of these tools are things that Zach knows really well. I think one of the issues that Paul's going to have is or that Zach's going to have, excuse me, is that if Zach is too focused on the fiends and the keepers, suddenly the mirror is going to be on top of him and it's going to be over. He needs to catch the mirror. He needs to catch the mirror
John and I
out
are
somehow.
also both well aware of the Slaanesh list, and if we put ourselves in the guard player's shoes, that doesn't mean knowing is half the battle. We're still just gonna lose.
So-
Let's know how we did
Okay.
it.
I think Zach can see the avalanche as it rolls downhill, but his car is already stuck in the mud, and
So I would say that the mirror is a great argument for having Morty and Plasma squads in any guard army. That ability to just pick it up is super useful.
It's definitely not bad, but there's so much ability. I don't even think that the mirror is the problem. I think it's the fiends, because the fiends are twice as fast and there's no roll off involved.
The mirror is the insurance policy if you somehow get through the fiends.
Yeah, I think fiends are our problem number one, because there's just you could theoretically hope to roll your way out of the mirror. If the fiends touch guard, you are there until someone's dead.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing else about that scenario that works.
I will add that one of the things that, like, Brandon Grant and some of the other top guard players are doing is they're just playing guard and sisters. Because if you take this guard list and you trim some of the stuff out of it and you add 2 units of Repentia and Rhinos, the list is incredibly better.
Yes.
Because you
on stream in the worm.
That's the exact conclusion I went to. I write pure guard lists. I love pure guard, but this and the Harlequins that move after you fall back from combat and get back in combat with you. The Harlequins aren't quite as bad because you can theoretically punch those to death. The time it takes to punch fiends to death is just not. There's not enough turns for guard to punch fiends to death. Even Katachan, which this isn't, are probably not doing it. This just the math doesn't work.
But Bulgren are so much cheaper now. Surely that'll solve everything.
Okay,
I like what you think.
final game. Well, this isn't actually the final game. The round 3 final undefeated finals are now White Scars versus Slaaneshi Demons.
What's the mission?
It is mission Scorched Earth.
Scorched Earth.
Ooh,
Is that
Dawn of War for keepers?
Yeah.
Where are the objectives leading that one? That's the 4.
I think it's
There's 6 of them, Nick. I don't know if you can see this.
so it's
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh man, I actually really like how Slaanesh plays into White Scars.
I'm going to give it to Slaanesh, but I think this is going to be a very, very good game.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I only say that, again, because of the mission.
Dawn of War.
Dawn of War is really, really great for Slaanesh and really not great for White Scars. And then I've always said in this podcast, like 2 or 3 times, like White Scars are a control army. That when they struggle is when someone gets on top of them. In the first 2 matchups, no one was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
This is doing that.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it to Colin still. I'm going with Scars for the win.
We disagree.
We disagreed. Had to happen eventually. One of the reasons is that in the previous RTT, this matchup was already played, and White Scars went into Slaanesh teams. And I don't think it was this exact same Slaanesh list.
No, it was he had a bunch of Noise Marines instead of as many Fiends.
Yeah, and I do like this list better, and I think that'll make it closer. And again, I think the mission actually favors the Slaanesh demons slightly. I'm going no knock on Paul. I'm going with Colin on player skill and the fact that this matchup's already been played. So I don't think Colin's going to get caught off guard by what Slaanesh does.
I don't think either player is going to get caught off guard. Paul's been playing Slaanesh Demons since before that was cool, like last edition and stuff.
Yeah, he's been playing them since like.
I don't think players
Editions, not just
too much
one.
inside this game. Not to say Colin or Paul are insufficient as players. Just I put Colin playing Scars, Paul playing Slaanesh Demons, similar enough that it's going to come down to the mission and the lists. And
Yeah.
I'm putting the missioning really in Slaanesh's favor here.
Yeah, I think the mission favors Slaanesh, but I'm still going to go Scars, but very close.
I could definitely see Scars
Yeah,
winning this. Like I'm never gonna just be like Scars are going to lose, not a chance.
And the same thing, I could see the scenario where the Slaanesh demons win this. Slaanesh may win this 40% of the time, but if I'm betting, I think the Scars are a little more likely to pull this one out.
It's actually really different than the game we played before because the Noise Marines were a legitimate problem for me, and since he has no shooting, it's completely different. It's all about screening and layers, so that'll be really interesting. I hope that I get to play Paul at some point in the weekend, whether it's this game or not. Okay, so you guys said different people. So now there's a 4th round, and this is hard because we didn't do the losers bracket. So you're each going to pick a person from all of the losers, so basically anybody but Paul, in Nick's case, anybody but Colin and John's case, that you think is going to wreck you're predicting who's going to wreck the losers bracket and going to end up back in the 4th round playing the undefeated player. So, John, who wrecks the losers bracket and finds their way back?
So, could it be the loser of this game? Because realistically, that's who I'm gonna vote for. So, I'd vote for just a rematch in the 4th round. Unless it can't be that because of the way your tournament's structured.
I think the way that it works is that the loser of this game has to go then. So the loser of this game goes and plays the winner of the losers bracket, and the winner of that game comes back to play the winner again.
All right, so the winner of the losers bracket, I think, would either be Chuck or Zach.
Yeah.
And then I think Colin would beat either Chuck or Zach. And if Paul wins that game.
Yep.
So I'm gonna just say it's going to be a rematch.
So I'm gonna say Paul is the winner of the losers bracket, or I guess Paul loses to Colin round 3 is my prediction.
Okay.
And Colin's left undefeated. He's gonna play the finals. I think. Oh man, I'm with you. I think it's between Chuck and Zach here. I think that Chuck's list can actually beat the keepers. So I would say the finals end up being Chuck versus Colin. Although honestly, Zach could beat Chuck. I don't think Zach can beat Paul.
Part of my thing was simplifying that I don't have to figure out who Zach and Paul or Zach and Chuck out who wins that game. And Colin would beat either with white stars.
But I don't think Paul would beat either. I think Paul would only beat Zach. I don't think Paul would beat Chuck.
Let's take you guys. This is getting a little confusing. Let's take you guys one at a time. So Nick said that Paul is going to the finals, and you think I drop down and come back. So in the second game, we're going to be playing on the final mission, which is 22. I'm looking
at that one.
Hold on, I'm looking. All I know is it's not scouring because I said no.
4 of them off the top of my head.
Battle Lines.
Oh, Battle Lines is one of my least and most favorites.
Oh, that's also actually hard for.
That's hard for both. No one is like Battle Lines. This is my favorite mission, but because no one is like it, I'm like, this is a good mission.
So Nick, do I lose twice in a row, or do I come back and beat him the second time?
I'm thinking. So you know how I kind of said this could go either way, but I put it on the back of the mission as why you lost in the 3rd round. New mission, new game over here in the 4th round. So, Hammer and Anvil does a lot for you as opposed to Dawn of War because it gives you space to breathe. The nature of this mission means your primaries are going to be holding that backfield objective forever, and then you're going to be trading on those side objectives. I think Slanish trades on the side objectives better than you do, but you have more obstacle than he does, so he'll probably actually score it here and there, where he will never score it here and there.
Mm-hmm.
What are the secondary options?
I also I think we should mention that this mission is one where the going second is a massive bonus. Because this is a mission where like everyone's going to be getting 5 points on primary for a couple turns, but whoever goes second gets an easy opportunity to get 10/15.
Right.
Then the other player just doesn't get. Because like if the Slaanesh player goes first into Scars in your theoretical game here, I could honestly see Slaanesh getting 20 on primary.
I think Scars are going to take the rematch. Because Hammer and Anvil gives you a lot of breathing space, and then the nature of the objective placement with respect to the primary in this mission, I think Scars take the advantage on the primary in this one, where Slaanesh took the advantage on the primary in the previous.
Okay. So then, John, you think that Paul loses in round 3, and he'll drop down, and you thought he'd play Zach or Chuck.
I'm going to go with Chuck here because, correct me if I'm wrong, Zach has not been playing much 9th edition and hasn't been playing much guard.
He's played a good amount of 9th edition. He hasn't played much guard.
Okay. I do have the practice benefit.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and vote Chuck over Zach because of practice guard. Guard are very good, but I think that there's a little more depth than is obvious, and
Zach might just go into Math Hammer mode.
I think that just the small amount that's going to give Chuck the advantage there. Chuck into Paul. I'm going to give it to Chuck again. Chuck goes into the finals against Colin. And then on that same mission, I'm going Homer. I'm going White Scars. I have to. Picking White Scars in every game because it's my job. Same reasons as before. This mission is slightly better for the sisters, but I don't think it's enough to change things. Where again, I think both players are going to be getting a lot of 5-turn primaries, but White Scars have the actual chance to get a 10 on the first 3 battle rounds that sisters just don't have. Yeah, I just don't see a scenario where the sisters player gets anything other than a 5 on primary unless they went second and it's battle round 5. But I could see the White Scars getting a 5, then a 10, then another 5, then another 10. And then if they go second, that's just an automatic 15. So I think that both of them going second is an advantage on this mission, but I think that the White Scars can do more with going first.
All right. So John has me winning the RTT. Thank you.
Yep.
And Nick has me also winning the RTT, but after losing in the third round.
Yeah, we did it in different
We
ways.
took different paths.
Yeah. So that's great.
But scars were good.
So here's how this is going to work. Later today, we're going to post these lists, and we're going to post the challenge bracket. You go in, you predict. It's free for you to predict. It doesn't cost you anything. If you predict, it also has predicting the losers bracket. So if John and Nick want to go predict the losers bracket as well, they can. After that, whoever gets the most games accurate, and there's a weighting system. Loser in games aren't worth as many points as the winners bracket in the way challenge does it. If you win, we're going to ship you a new in-box knight, the one that builds all the different knights, not the forge-on ones, but we're going to ship that to you. So it's like what, $150 price?
Is mine already entered? Does that count, or do I have to go fill it out?
No, if you want to try to win, John, you should fill it out.
All right, I'm gonna fill it out. I want a knight. I love knights.
Me too.
The question we're getting a ton is what happens in the case of a tie. We're doing points destroyed as a tiebreaker because we can't have ties for the bracket to work. Just people have asked that. And then, okay, so that's what's happening with the RTT. You could win a night. That's what's happening with the event. I think that we have talked about it. Yeah, go ahead, Mitch.
Well, I was going to say for people who might be in other countries or who are night owls, I'll be taking charge of a lot of the late and early games, and kind of more of the theme there is doing interesting things. So, for example, I'll be playing a new version, an updated version of the Castellan list that I played in 7th and 8th, or 8th, I should say. Just because, like, what does that look like? We're still going to have Guard, we're still going to have a Castellan, we're still going to have Blood Angels. What does that look like, and is it even viable anymore? Just for the fun of it, like it's much more interesting. Not from a cutting edge meta standpoint. We're just trying to have fun with it and create interesting matchups that people can enjoy.
Excellent.
All right.
Excellent. So so the event's next weekend. You can start donating now. I'm going to start giving prizes away at 2:00 on Friday, so Pacific. So if you haven't done anything by then, you are going to miss out on getting to win stuff. Go ahead and donate. CharityHammer.com is the easiest way to find that. Enjoy more Nick and John as they commentate games. And guys, based on what you said, you want to commentate the Chuck and Noah game and the Zach and Harrison game. When you do they're doing their schedule later today for what they're going to do. But those are the ones that you were really excited about.
Yeah.
So we're going to have commentating. We're going to be the stream's going to look great. We have new cameras for the top down on both streams. We're going to have great audio. This is all going to go and just work fantastically. So, if you want to follow along with what's happening, we're going to update live on our Facebook page in the event that's called Hammer Out Cancer. We're going to raise as much money as we can. We've raised about $1,000 so far. With that, I believe we've talked about everything we're going to talk about. I want to thank the longtime friends of the show, Nick and John, for coming on and being, I thought, super interesting. And I'm not just saying that because they both think I'm going to do well. I was low-key wondering if I was going to get some shade early on from one of them and just be like, okay, fine. I actually need to get a practice game with White Scars this week because I've played so much Tyranids. I'm legitimately worried I'll get to the table and not know what I'm doing. The most stressful thing about that White Scars list, I will just share that the most stressful thing for me about that White Scars list is literally deploying it. Especially in the situations where the Slanesh keepers can just be on me on the first turn. So that'll be the... What's that, Nick?
When in doubt, I'm behind a wall.
Right?
In the corner.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate it. We'll be online all weekend next weekend. Come enjoy. And then hopefully in the summer, we'll get a chance to have the Art of War crew and everybody else out here for actual Charity Hammer, where there's discussion of doing a single elimination GT. So
let's hope that that's a realistic thing, because I would love to do that.
Well,
that'd be a pretty nutty thing, and it certainly would be the first of its kind.
Well, I did the scheduling, and it would take up about half of the total time slots for the weekend for the agenda. That's probably fine. If you have 28 people to make it a specific GT, then you give 4 people the bye in the first round. That works fine. But we also could just do 32 people. So that could be really, really quite fun. So you'd have like massive complicated brackets at that point, which would be really, really neat. I don't know how we'd seed it. We joked that we might just give all the names to Falcon and let him seed it.
That's the best way.
Yeah, because like we don't want to use 2020 ITC score, and 2019 is long enough ago that you have situations like Tyler, like my first opponent in the RTT, Tyler is a better opponent than being the 8th seed. But like it's just the way that his 2019 season was when he wasn't playing as much. So, anywho, so that's what we've got going on with Charity Hammer. That'll be later in the year. Maybe you'll end up having 2 events from us every year. Don't know. So, thank you everybody. Really appreciate it, and we will talk to you guys after the event and during the event and such. Thanks everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.